Oh, this fast healing stuff is gonna come in real handy.
This review is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. All right, Infamous Second Son, the first major release for the PS4 since launch. Now, before we get into the review though, I need to let you know that this review, the production of this review, not the opinion, it's not up to my standards. In the interest of preventing spoilers, Sony and Sucker Punch required that we only use footage we capture from some very particular points in the game, most of which come quite close to the beginning. As a result, you are not going to see a complete visual depiction of the game, nor one that always matches up with the opinions expressed. We here strive to show what we say without spoilers, as it makes for a stronger and more informative review, but in this case, we are unable to do so. We also will not be using available B-roll provided to us, as for reviews, we only use footage that we ourselves capture to show the game as we played it, not in an idealized and rehearsed video clip. I do not presume ill intent on the part of anyone, but it is unfortunate. Once again, my opinion has not changed, just the visual expression of it. You're gonna have to look at my ugly mug a hell of a lot more than usual. Apologies in advance.
All right, fine. We both go. Come
Oh,
on.
no. You go play Super Cup, okay? I will catch up with you in a minute.
Taking place 7 years after the events of the last Infamous game, Second Son places you in the knit cap of Delson Row, a puckish miscreant leading an idle life on the Akomish Indian Reservation outside of Seattle. While the Department of Unified Protection has managed to round up the superpowered conduits in the ensuing years, things become a lot more exciting with a successful escape attempt from a DUP transport vehicle that Delson and his sheriff brother Reggie stumble upon. Lo and behold, Delson can absorb the powers of other conduits, which brings them to the sadistic attention of the DUP, especially their leader Augustine, who traumatizes the small village and sends Delson and his brother into Seattle in search of more conduits, more powers, a cure for their suffering kinfolk, as well as revenge. While that sounds conventional, what follows is equally so in storytelling and game structure. Hunt down the escaped conduits, gain their powers, take on a good or evil mission relevant to them, and move on. It's a shame because the presentation of the game is so striking, and the acting from the likes of Troy Baker and Travis Willingham as Delson and Reggie elevate the story from the familiar in cutscenes that are plentiful at the game's beginning, but unfortunately decline in frequency, laying bare the formulaic construction.
We're trying to fix the problems you already have, not add new ones.
The conduits you meet are similarly interesting, but are so sequestered in their narrative day in the sun that it's hard to keep from wondering if there is something more ambitious trapped inside a typical open world structure.
Don't screw it up! And they're gone.
But it sure is pretty. Not just striking in its visual clarity, but a color palette hell-bent on reminding the player about the variety of the spectrum. There's a warmth to the art direction that actually underplays the novelty of shooting explosive energy from your hands that works well with the setting of a world all too aware and seemingly fatigued with the presence of powerful individuals destroying everything around them. These powers are a cavalcade of particle and light effects and offer a warm reassurance that the PlayStation 4 is a machine with more fortitude than its predecessor, underscored by the open world of a dense and detailed Seattle that can be traversed with remarkable speed and no hiccups.
Wow. Seem to be getting the hang of your, new symptoms.
Right? It just isn't a very interesting city. In the game, I mean. Geographic variances in Second Son Seattle are merely superficial. Based upon presumptions of Delson's upgrades and powers, some districts have taller buildings than others, some have more neon, but none of them actually stand out or offer any unique character. The original Infamous had a strangeness in its visual depiction of a collapsed society. Here it's more of a generic playground of urban America made wholesale for your exploitation. Only once, when fighting drug dealers hiding out in houseboats, did I notice I was playing in a setting that was somewhat distinct.
They don't want you in here, right? They said if you come on, they're gonna get off.
That manipulation and use of the environment is the hook of the Infamous games, and for a while at least, it offers some truly fun and indulgent playing as it delivers generously on the power fantasy that is at the core of the franchise. Starting with smoke and then moving on to neon, your powers allow you to traverse and destroy with ease. Ranged, melee, and explosive attacks work in satisfying concert with one another, and the game doesn't drag out the acquisition of your offensive suite once you obtain a new power. Delson himself can dole out the hurting, but cannot take too much damage, and given his speed when moving, combat plays out like a series of inventive blitz attacks. Adding to the player's creativity are the buildings and geometry that he can escape to and heal, or move the combat to a more advantageous setting. Sucker Punch, veterans not only of this franchise, but the equally dexterous Sly Cooper games, have a firm handle on controls and the necessary sensory satisfaction that comes with them. The powers in Second Son come with a heft and a precision, exactly what someone in possession of such abilities would want to feel. Yes, this isn't novel combat design, but the giddy, frenetic quality feels good and manages to keep it exciting and interesting for a while. In retrospect, for longer than I expected.
Nice shot.
The fun in the combat eventually cannot withstand the lack of invention in the combat scenarios. Second Son falls into the all-too-familiar open-world trap of just throwing more enemies who can absorb more pain at Delsin as a progression of challenge. Instead of crafting more distinct and deliberately designed sequences with complex AI that force the player to better comprehend their abilities, I found myself attacking and running with such frequency that it devolved into autopilot. Plain oatmeal, a numbing nourishment without flavor.
I think I prefer the smaller guys.
In fact, the greatest challenge is trying to orient the camera with Delsin's ever-increasing speed. You bolt away, figure out how you position yourself against enemies, and hope you don't take too much damage as you swing the camera behind you. It became easier to just dash far from combat, stop, and head back in, depriving the action of any satisfying rhythm or drama.
Looks like the haters are getting ready for their big parade.
This is doubly true in the interminable boss battles that I can't show or explain to you. Lacking in any real challenge, they are uninspired challenges of patience as you perform the same dodge and attack sequence, wearing on for an unnecessary period of time with virtually no variety.
Really? No downside? How about those heavily armed guys over there now want to hurt you real bad?
This lack of variety extends to the side missions, which are equally indistinct, but fairly essential for the player to level up their skills and karma levels, or just rid the streets of more procedural combat instances. Most involve more combat or familiar elements from previous Infamous titles, like finding the secret agent among ordinary pedestrians. None of these moments change up except in the enemy assortment. There's also a street art minigame that's visually interesting, but not much more.
I'm a total hater.
Which brings us to the divergent paths Delsin can take. As with previous games, it can be played selfishly or selflessly. These paths open up unique powers that do compel the player to play differently, and there are a few missions particular to your karmic disposition, but it doesn't really enliven the gameplay anymore on a second playthrough, and the story isn't good enough once to see how it changes. The rote pleasure of the controls is the best case to play again, and is probably best done after the initial run fades from memory.
I gotta power up if I'm gonna go toe-to-toe with Concrete Queen.
Hey, I'm hoping to avoid that.
That infamous Second Son held my interest as long as it did is a testament to some strong mechanics that enliven the concepts developed in the previous two games. But the game itself seems uncertain about how to take its creative development into directions other than the tried and true. It's an old friend in flashier threads, but as with so many games before it, the clothes don't make the superhero. A 3 out of 5. There you go. I gotta say, I'm a little bit surprised how disappointed I was with the game. I'm not saying don't play it, just don't have your expectations up there. One thing, I had mentioned in some previews of this game that I felt that the combat felt a little anemic. Whatever happened from that to now has completely changed. It really is a deep, satisfying sensation you get when you're firing stuff out of your hands. Yeah, one thing I do miss from the original Infamous games, Cole McGrath, I identify with him. Why? He's bald. I'm bald, that's why I grow a beard on my face, to make me feel like I'm relevant. But for a lot of you guys out there that have the luxury of shaving your beards, just like Troy Baker, well, that's where Dollar Shave Club comes in. See, Dollar Shave Club allows you to go through the simple 3-minute process of shaving without all those extra problems, like going down to the store and trying to decide which of the vibrating special package types that say Ultra and Extreme are appropriate for you. No, they just bring it to your house for a low cost. And included in that cost are a lot of other bathroom goodies. There's Dr. Carver's Easy Shave Butter. Easy Shave Butter. Those are 3 great words I never thought I could say together. It makes me excited. Additionally, you get one Wipe Charlies. These are peppermint butt wipes. They make your butt smell like peppermint. So if you can smell your butt, you're gonna be in love with these. But for a lot of you guys, you can also use them on your butt and on your face. If you use the same one, well, hey, that's you. You may not want to share that with anybody. Anyhow, if you want to learn more, and you must right now, who could not resist something as easy and as pepperminty as that? Dollar Shave Club. Shave time, shave money. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Red3Games.